Saying good morning to those of you who are listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Those of you viewing via GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, Channels 20. Those of you via social media platforms, whether it's the Facebook page, YouTube channels, GBN's What's page, that's gbn.gd. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Thursday, the 15th day of February. And welcome to my guest this morning, representing the, of course, Special Victims Unit of the Royal Grenada Police Force. We have the Detective Constable, that's Damien Frank with us this morning, and representing the Child Protection Authority, that's Mr. Adrian Horford. Let me say good morning to you, gentlemen, and welcome to the point this morning. Good morning to you, folks.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
When you rumble, morning.
Yeah, morning to the viewing public and the listening public. It's always a pleasure to be on GBN with GT.
Yeah.
You know, I expect some hard questions today, and I hope try my best to answer all.
I will try my best to be easy on you this morning. So we're talking runaway children. That's of course, the focus of the conversation this morning. Runaway children. Let's get the conversation off this morning in terms of how can I start this off this morning? Runaway youngsters, if I could put it that way, seem to be a bit of a concern these days. We've seen it from time to time. We've seen whether it's via social media, the talk in the street. Hey, this individual has run away from home for whatever reason or reasons that comes with it. Let's kick it off with Detective Constable Damien this morning. I hope you don't mind me just calling you Damien. We could do first name basis, no problem.
Yes, that's right.
Now, I know there's a process that goes through. I know that there are probably listeners or viewers now. We want to know the process. A youngster has run away for some reason. The parent, the family members are worried about it. How does the process start with the RGPF or the Special Victims Unit? Let's talk about the process, right. Where it starts from.
No problem. So good morning again to the listening public, and thank you very much for having me, GT. So first of all, before I answer to your question, a lot of persons may be asking, who is a runaway teen, or to determine the
we get to that level of someone
yes,
run away.
Yes.
All right.
And we're saying that a runaway teen is a minor, right, who is under the age of 18. So any persons who are under the age of 18 is definitely deemed as a minor or a child, right? And once we have that complaint, well, first of all, we're saying here that teen or that child, once they run away from home, a bulletin will be only posted on social media seeking the public advice after 3 nights has passed, all right, or 3 days have passed.
If we can start back already, before you continue, if we can start back already. So I'm assuming a complaint has to be made first and foremost.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
So it goes from the complaint. What happens after the complaint? Before we go to the actual bulletin being made, the public bulletin being made.
Right. So after that, before that public bulletin has to be made, the information reach Special Victims Unit, right, and we inform CPA. Right, and we start our investigation by we may start reaching out to the parents. We may start reaching out, trying to seek information as to who is the closest friend or neighbor or relative that you think the child can be by. So we're trying to see how we can gather information, because it might just be where that child may witness a domestic dispute home last night and is somewhat not ready to just go home and face the whole trauma and issue that is at home.
All right.
Right, so we start there, and we inform CPA, and that's how it starts. But I'm not going to get into the 3 days after the 3 days as yet. But that's how the
all right. So that's where the process starts, yes, before we actually get into that 3-day process. Now, my question to the Child Protection Authority. I mean, you're not a protective authority, but Mr. Horford anyway. Tell me where does the CPA fits into this process? Where do they fit in? How do they fit in? I understand you've been informed by the police. How do you fit in there now? How does the CPA fit in?
Right. So once we get information from the police or any other source that a child has run away or is deemed missing, we firstly check our system to see if it's a client of the authority.
Okay.
All right. So we start our investigation and assessment from there. So if it's a client of the authority already, we would have information that we can share with the police.
Right. So it's not a first time thing for that individual.
It might be a first time to run away, but the child might be in the system for another reason.
All right.
And it could be a present client or a past client, because we do keep records. So that way we could have, okay, well, we have grandma number, we have auntie number, we have friends number. We have a network where we can pull from to see if we can find that child quickly. So if the child is not in our system, then we would essentially send out our feelers, or we call them caseworkers who walk in where that child lives, or to the school, that district that child works or schools in, and then we will work from there. Because remember, we have some children that leave school at 16.
Yes.
So they're not 18 yet.
So they're still within the system.
They're still within the system,
okay.
Considered as children. So that's why I said work and school, because so we have that gray area there sometimes. So we use that to see if we could find that child forthwith. So we don't wait on the 3 days, or wait on the 2 days, or wait on the 24 hours. We act appropriately and as soon as possible, because we're not too sure if that child is in danger or not.
Yeah.
And we have to assume the worst. Yes. Up front, so we try our best to find that child by information gathering and sending out persons to look for that child, or seeking information from the neighbors or the general public.
All right. Now tell me also, how does the CPA deal with a runaway, with runaways? If we put it that way, another issues that relate into runaways. Not always that a runaway individual will be an issue that the CPA deals with. You understand? May not always be, but although we've been focusing on runaways this morning, but how does that particular authority deal with situations of that nature?
Well, once we have a client that we call them clients, right? So we don't just call them just children. We seem they are part of us,
yes,
right? So once we have a client who would have run away and we would have found that child or so forth, we start our therapeutic process. Now that will start from an assessment part of it to find, okay, well, why you ran away, what is happening, what seems to be the issues in that child's life. So we'll do school visit, home visit, check the neighborhood, so find as much information that we can, not just from the child, but everybody that surrounds the child. And once we find we could get a sense of what is happening, we can plan a care plan for that child, we call it. So in that care plan, we will see if the child needs counseling or any other therapeutic intervention. That child maybe need to be removed from the household based on what is happening, because not all children run away to go towards something that is dangerous. Sometimes the danger is at home.
Yes.
So there may be some abuse or some family issues that may be taking place at home, and they can't handle it or deal with it. So they leave home to go out to a place of safety. But in doing so, sometimes they end up in more problems, because who they go run to for help might not be the fittest person to help them at that point in time. So we do that assessment, initial assessment, see what is happening, and then we do a plan of care for that child. Right, we will see who can help that child in terms of family members, so forth. So if we have to remove, we may have to place in a state home. We might have to place that child in foster care or some kinship care with a family member who is deemed, after being assessed, to be capable to care for that child at that point in time.
I have another question, but I maybe for the benefit for the listening and viewing public's month. Tell me about some of the services that the CPA offers.
Well, the services we tend to generally offer, right? We offer case management in terms of we monitor situations with your child. So you say your child have behavioral issues, right? Your child is assigned a caseworker who would work with that child, right? So in that, once you get that one-on-one work done with that child, so that person will look in on the child at school, at home, make sure everything is okay, and so, or if the child need any other help, there's somebody who that child can depend on. Not just call CPA and say, oh well, somebody will look into it. That child will have a caseworker to help them. So we do case management. And we do child care homes. We're in charge of some homes in Grenada, and we do therapeutic interventions, which would include play therapy, counseling, and other things of that sort. We also do have an outreach program where we would go into schools. We're going to a conference of churches, anybody who's willing to have us into the communities and do educational programs, do facilitation through there. We also partner with other stakeholders to get certain things done. Parenting programs, for instance, we want to do some mentoring programs and so forth over the next coming 2 to 3 years. So we want to do a lot of things within the community to help strengthen the family structure. At the end of the day, CPA would want the amount of children that been abused to lessen. And only how we see that we can do that is effectively strengthening the family structure, and making people more able to deal with the issues and so forth. And we will try our best, working with the police and GBN and all the stakeholders in Grenada that can help send out that message of hope of where persons can get help. So in a nutshell, that's generally the services we offer.
All right. Let's go back to, of course, Detective Damien this morning. Let's talk about the main role of the police now in terms of runaway, missing persons, as we would say regularly say in Grenada. We will say runaway in Grenada.
Yes.
But most normally we say a missing person. Now, the role of the police. Where does the police steps in now? You did talk about the process. Now, yes. The process have taken place in terms of the report and so forth. Now, you promised to give me some information about where the process goes after when the bulletin part goes out. Now, where does that process go?
That bulletin part takes place after the 3 days if we haven't found that child. The bulletin is placed, and we are now seeking assistance from the general public, right? So once a child is found, they are taken to the Special Victims Unit, where a statement will be obtained from that child as to her whereabouts, if she was abused, or generally, why did you run away from home, and then an investigation is launched. If anybody have to be arrested, they will be arrested for that.
All right. Now, someone would say, why 3 days? Why wait 3 days before a bulletin is put out?
Right.
I mean, we have to put into consideration now the parents. They're going to be worried. Hey, my son, my daughter's been missing for a second, for a day, and I have to wait for 3 days before the public could be notified about it. Why 3 days?
So within that 3 days, as I said,
I understand you did previous investigation, more or less.
We're not just waiting for that 3 days to pass. The police, CPA, Ministry of Social Development, whoever other partnering entity, we will be conducting investigations. So as I said early on, for example, that child may witness a domestic dispute at home and decide, all right, so yesterday was Valentine, and GT, your lady expects you to bring maybe home one of the most expensive bottle of red wine. You haven't done that. When you get home, your lady is mad, right? Yeah. And remember, your 12-year-old, your 10-year-old, whatever the age is sitting right in the hallway, witnessing that. Now you now, with all your pride and dignity, may think, who is you to speak to me like that? You understand? So you might just hit mommy and slap her. You might say something really aggressive to her. And that in itself can have some psychological damage on that child. And that child might just decide, you know what? I just want to stay back at school and maybe speak to my counselor. I just want to go my father, because they might think, not my father, but other some family members or somebody else. So it's not always the case where we have the report of a missing child or a runaway child. We just have to post that information there, because of course we have to give family the privacy as well.
Yeah. All right. Going back to Adrian for a wee bit, let's talk about the steps that were able to reduce children, leaving home. What are some of the steps that or information the CPA would like to put out, especially for our listeners in public this morning? In terms of ways to reduce that happening.
All right. Your home needs to be a safe space.
Definitely.
Your home needs to be a safe space for your children. All right. As I said, children leave home for different reasons. Yeah. So the house itself should be a space where you can have conversations. So the communication that you have with your child or children should be one of that they are free to express themselves in a respectable manner. Yeah. Right? So they having issues at school, they should be able to speak to you. All right. And for them to be able to do that, you have to have that kind of rapport with your children.
That environment supposed to be,
of course,
conducive for that.
Yes, that habitat is supposed to be so cohesive that mommy, this happened in school today, or daddy, experiencing this in school, or experiencing this down the road, or this happened at church, or this happened while I was on my way home, or somebody called me on social media and so forth. So you have to have that kind of, not just control, but that's synergy with your children. And it doesn't just start when they become teenagers. That's something you should start from since they in preschool.
Yeah.
So they have that faith and trust and confidence in you that they could come and have those kind of conversations with you.
All right.
Right? And you have to be frank with them. You have to tell them the truth, because when they go outside, there are other people telling them things. So it doesn't make sense hiding certain things from them. Make sure it's age appropriate as they grow up.
Yeah.
But
in terms of the conversation.
Of course.
Yes.
But you have to have those conversations with them. So that's one.
Yeah.
In terms of reducing other things, you may have a teen that has behavioral issues.
So they get to the rebellious ages.
Yes, you know, that's trying to find the identity stage, as we put it, to the psychologists and psychiatrists out there. And in that stage, we as a teen myself back in the days, we always think that we know what is right, you know.
So true.
And we always think that, you know what, whatever I am doing, I'm supposed to do it, or because I feel like, or I think that is the best. And in doing so, you get yourself in problems. So that stage, you realize they're going to be rebellious. So you have to put certain measures in place. As I said, sometimes you might have to check up on them 2-3 times in the night, because they may want to jump through the window when you're sleeping or when you're doing other things. So you might have to put security lights outside your house, that somebody trying to enter or exit, the light comes on. You're checking on them. You do things with them through the evening and night that they may see, okay, you know what, mommy or daddy's taking some interest in me. I don't need to run away.
All right.
Or the child might say, I want to go to a party. And they know that you won't let them go to the party, so they'll quicker run away. Or tell you, I'm going to stay by my cousin for the night. And when everybody goes in the bed, they change their clothes and they go to a party. So you need to have that control to know where your children are, what they're up to, and those kind of measures. You tell the truth, if a child really wants to run away, some of them brave enough to just walk with your house and go. They're not running, they're just walking out.
Right.
But those who may have a little more respect for you, they will try to climb through windows. They may try to go through the door when you're not looking. They might cut a key that you don't know about, and so forth. So you have to put that kind of measure in place in terms of what's happening at your household for them to not to run away. Now, 3, you need to know their friends. Know who they correspond with. And I'm not just speaking of physically face to face. We have to look at the Facebook and the other social media chats and so forth.
Instagram.
They're children. You're supposed to have that measure of control to know what they're doing. So you're supposed to have access to their phones.
Yes.
I know sometimes parents like to say, "Oh, I like the children." Trust me,
that's their business.
That is your business still, because you're responsible for them until they turn an adult.
Yeah.
Because if they are 13 and something happened to them on the road, it's you they call it. You're responsible for them. So that responsibility takes different forms. And that's one of the forms. You have to be there, and you have to be present in everything that they do, so you may know what is happening with them. All right. So along those lines, that we have to do.
We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, I want to spend a little time on some of the causes. What really cause youngsters wanting to make that decision of running away or for some reason or the other. Let's take a break. We're coming right back, folks. Stay with us here. It's To The Point for today, Tuesday the 15th. We'll be right back.
As we celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence, let's not only put up the colors of our flag, but do deeds that show how much we care about our country.
Yeah, nation flags always fly high and always remain united and free.
From the St. George's Service Center of the National Lotteries Authority.
Happy 50th anniversary of independence, Grenada.
How we've grown, how far we've run. 50 years we strong and more to come.
The Planning and Development Authority of Grenada, PDA, is enforcing regulations to curb illegal, disorderly, and unauthorized development in several locations throughout the state of Grenada. The authority is concerned that structures mainly associated with vending are negatively impacting the environment, has undesirable public health and sanitation consequences, present obstructions to vehicle and pedestrian traffic, can become projectiles during adverse weather conditions, and generally affect disrupt the aesthetics of the nation. The PDA will work along with stakeholder ministries and institutions to effect the demolition, removal, and disposal of structures which fall in the category of illegal and disorderly development, commencing January 2024. In this regard, persons who vend in or occupy such illegal structures are advised to secure their personal belongings and have the structures removed ahead of the planned PDA demolition operations. These actions of the PDA have become necessary to safeguard and protect public health and the environment, ensure the safety and well-being of all citizens and visitors, discourage any future disorderly construction, and encourage compliance to regulations pertaining to physical development in the state of Grenada. This is a message from the Planning and Development Authority of Grenada.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point for today, Thursday. Welcome back to my guest, Adrian, and, of course, Detective Damien Frank with me this morning once again. And I did mention when we before the break, Adrian, and I'm sure if the officer could chime in on it, also you, Adrian, causes why youngsters want to run away. I know you mentioned a while ago we speak about ways to prevent it, but there's always things that will cause individuals wanting to run away. You understand, especially young people, young children today. Various things that will cause. Tell me some of the things that you think that causes youngsters wanting to make that sort of decision.
Yes. Unfortunately, we have abuses that takes place within the household itself.
Yeah.
Right? And when I speak of abuses, it's not just sexual. You know, we tend to chime in on sexual because it feels...
Always seems to be some folk as the key factor.
Of course. But we have emotional abuse and we have a lot of physical abuse that takes place as well. And even some sort of neglect, child neglect.
Yes.
Now, children, like it or not, want to feel loved. Right? And not all parents know how to show that physical affection towards children. Might want to hug them and kiss them and say, you know, daddy or mommy, I love you, and so forth. So that emotional connection sometimes children crave. They don't get it at home as they should. And sometimes they go elsewhere to get it, right? But so they don't feel that connection at home, you know, in terms of the emotional abuse. And then there's the physical abuse where, obviously, you know, you're using, as we would have documented well, from cutlass to chair to computer monitor to phone charger, using that to hit children of various ages. And sometimes they reach a stage where they really cannot take it. And they don't want it to continue, so they physically leave the house, right? And of course, there's the sexual part of it, where you have a family member, whether it's, and we're talking about boys and girls here, because we tend to focus a lot on the females, but we have young boys who are sexually abused at home as well. All right, so we have instances of that, where the father or even the mother.
It's not always the male, huh?
Yes, it's not always the male. Sometimes we have female predators.
Yeah.
Yes, and we need to be aware of that. We have female predators, and it happens, unfortunately, that the sexual nature of what takes place, the child can't handle it anymore, so they run. And so in terms of abuse that takes place within the household, unfortunately, sometimes children have problems at school with bullying, and they being groomed at school to do certain things, and they might go home and say, mommy, daddy, cousin, auntie, uncle, grandma, this is happening, and they're not getting the support or the love or the satisfaction of, look, somebody's going to deal with this for me.
You know why you don't fight back, and this is the kind of thing you would tell some parents will tell them.
There you go. And so sometimes they leave because of that, right? We have sometimes it's peer pressure.
Yeah.
There are friends that are going to party, there are friends that are going online. They want to go too.
Yeah, but I've been there last night, you know. I've been there yesterday. Mommy, daddy didn't know about it, and why don't you do it too?
Of course. And sometimes you have your daughter in the house, and you have a young boy down the road that like her. You tell her you like her. Come and check me tonight when mommy and them sleeping. So you jump through the window, you sneak out of the house to go and talk to the boy down the road. Because if you tell your mother you have a boy down the road that like you and you want to go and talk to him tonight 9 o'clock.
That ain't possible. That ain't impossible to happen.
You understand? And then you might have a young man in your house and a young girl call him on the phone. My mother and father sleeping. Come and check me. I want to see you. I miss you. So the young fella might want to leave the house now. You can't tell the mother or your father or your grandmother, I'm going to check a girl on the road. She mother and father sleeping. And she never come and check her. You can't say that.
I mean, folks will say no, times are different. Yeah. Times are different in lots of ways and means now times are different. What we may have gotten away in our time, youngsters now are doing it in a different way. Technology has proved they probably set a camera up in your room watching you to know what they want to do with it.
Of course.
Exactly. You understand?
Yes. And you have to look at those things. Excuse me. So those kind of peer pressures, they tend to want to leave the home. Sometimes, as you say, we have family problems or difficulties. As Detective Frank would have spoken about, we might have some domestic issue within the house. Another thing that is causing other issues is just general poverty.
Yeah.
Right, and we can't run away from that. Sometimes you might, they say don't covet what your neighbor has, but sometimes you don't have stuff to eat and drink and just the general basic needs that you want to have at your house. You don't have it.
Yeah.
And you may go elsewhere to get it. And because of how you're doing it, you're running away. Your parents don't know where you are. You want to go down the road and get internet somewhere down the road, and your parents tell you, we're not going anywhere, you have to stay home. Then you're not going to get the permission, so you run away. Yeah. And general behavioral issues children has. As you see, we spoke about the identity crisis and so forth, that those teenage years. But we are finding that younger and younger children are running away from home. So then it's not that when they reach 12, 13, 14, 15, we have 7-year-olds that say, you know what, I want to go by the stadium, they're playing football tonight, and mommy and daddy say I can't go. My friends there.
I can run away.
I run away. I leave in the house without them knowing.
Careless of the consequences.
Careless, because some of them will tell you, when I reach back home, I know I'll get lashed, I know I'll get disciplined, but I go in still.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say when we were speaking about in some of the causes, you have to have those kind of conversations with your children. So you might want to sleep and tired, but they want to go and watch football. Go with them.
But in times like this, some parents who may be listening to us right now may say, work. Yeah. Some folks are tied into their work a whole lot. Some they work at odd times, may not give them the opportunity to spend as much time with their, So that's where how concerned are you? And maybe it's a question I have. It should have asked a little bit later down. The family structure. How important is that in terms of how important is that?
Social development. Most governments that pass through Grenada, past and present, speak about that pillar as a family, how important it is. A family structure is very, very important. And the structure in a family does not have to be mommy, daddy, children alone. There are other extended members of the family that can provide that support. And that's why it's good to live with your family, your extended family.
So true.
Because there are times that you, as you say, rightfully, you're working hard and you can provide that support to that child who wants to do certain other extracurricular activities. But you may have a cousin, an auntie or so forth that can provide that support and help to you. So in terms of how important that structure of that family is very important. It helps children to be grounded, and it is proven that where there's a mother, father, and good family structure, that child tends to improve or excel in life. Quite the margin is very, very large. So we want to have that as much as possible. So to answer your question is very important. Very, very important.
Detective Constable, may I want to ask you this: the role of the public in this. How concerned is it for the special victim youth in terms of the role of the public in issues related to runaway? How important is that?
Well, let me just take you back to when I was growing up, or when we were growing up. We hear persons saying that it takes a village, community, to bring you up.
Yeah.
So the role of the public is very, very important. Very important. But just to tag back a little bit with Mr. Horford here, and touching the reasons why some of the teens may run away. You would have touched on a lot, because as he said, there's a lot of different reasons why children may run away. You understand? But I just want to come down to one, and that's communication. And he has been talking a lot about that, but I want to say it because I can't understand GT. You understand? You're in a house with your 12-year-old, 15-year-old, and you think because Jacob is locked up in his room for the entire day, that Jacob is some kind of good boy, Jacob, and you see
and
it as
have no other
okay.
thoughts in his mind.
Yeah, exactly. So you will not go and check in on Jacob and make sure, give him chores, you know. You speak of family value, you know, the family structure. You know, you might say, you want to go to the football, but instead I say, Jacob, you know what? I'm really tired from work. Here what? I can give you half an hour of my time. Let's play a game of Monopoly.
Yeah.
Let's play some dominoes. Let's play some card. So at the end of the day, Jacob is getting the attention. Or you might just, a lot of the children are into these console games.
Yeah.
You understand? You might buy him or gift him with a PS4. You understand? We play, put on some game and we play. You understand? So communication and spending quality time with your children is of utmost importance.
All right. Now tell me. No, another question I wanted to ask. Why are we seeing such an increase in cases in Grenada today? Why are we seeing such an increase in cases in Grenada in terms of runaway? I know who want to chime in on that.
Well, it may just be on the delinquency. A lot of
Is it based on the parents or the children themselves?
Well, some of the parents have a part to play with it, but then again, as Mr. Horford would have touched earlier, you may just have some few children just they just want to run away. Or they just want to, they reach at the teen level and they just think that, you know what, I just want to experience and do what all these old people give me my time to live my life. I want to go behind the mall when school time comes. I don't want to come home at 2:30 or 3 o'clock after school. I want to go behind the mall, and then afterwards you might go behind the mall, and then afterwards by a half an hour, 15 minutes, you hear the police is calling your parents because you got involved in criminal activity.
Concerns from the CPA and the police in terms of, in relation to runaways and other related issues. What are some of those concerns?
Well, before I get to with reference to the concerns, you asked that question and Frank could have answered, and I just want to add to it. There's a microcosm of issues that cause children, well, what we've seen as an increase in those things.
On October the 7th, maybe in the
society in general, we get a little lapse in how we handle things. I remember if I did something down the road and it was not pleasing to the persons around, they would discipline me. And when I get home, if I dare say, well, Mr. John beat me because I do X, Y, or Z, I've been disciplined home again.
It's a double dose.
It's a double dose, and we spoke about taking a village to grow a child or a community to grow a child, but our communities have become very selfish.
Yeah.
Sometimes is their doing, but sometimes is the parents doing. Because you may discipline the child or speak to him, and when he goes home and he tells his mother, the mother comes and curses you.
Yeah.
Or the teacher might speak to the child or discipline the child in school for certain issues. Parents running up there with cutlasses and they want to stone the teacher or fight with the teacher or so forth. So there's a breakdown of respect and morals within our society.
Yes.
I personally believe so because I'm seeing it on a daily basis. Before somebody say, look at police, people afraid. No, the children fight with police and
gone are the days for that,
yeah? Yeah,
gone are the days.
There you go. So I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a whole microcosm of our times we're living in and certain things where we have a lot of more teenage persons being parents than we used to have. We used to have a lot before, but it's becoming such a norm now that if a 15-year-old get pregnant, that will make it news to anybody.
They need parenting themselves.
And therein lies the issue. children making children will always cause problems because they themselves have not grown or matured enough in life
to offer the kind of knowledge that their son or daughter needs.
The morals, the knowledge, the values, they themselves need guidance.
Or them themselves may have had issues themselves.
And there you go.
Of course, getting themselves pregnant at a young age could be reasons why that happened.
Of course.
Their lack of guidance for them themselves.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why we've seen how important it is. And it's a stumbling block come down the hill in terms of what takes place from if your mother does not do what she's supposed to do in caring for you, and you don't take that values that you're supposed to get from mommy, and it goes down to generation, and so we are seeing the effects of what has been happening in Grenada for the past 20 to 30 years.
All right. Another issue I wanted to touch on when we come back is, of course, I guess Detective Damien would talk about that. What the law says in relation to that. Folks harboring individuals and stuff like that. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we discuss that. We also get the opportunity to our listeners and viewers. If you do have a question or two you would like to ask, feel free to do so when we come back in the next segment also. Stay with us, folks.
One day I was out playing with my friend Kevin, and he was really moody, kinda sad and angry at the same time. I asked him what was the matter. Someone in his family had been doing mean things to him. He said he had to keep it a secret. So I asked Kevin, is it a good secret or a bad secret? He said he didn't know. I explained good secrets are cool things like a surprise party or a gift for a special occasion. A bad secret is when someone hurts or harms you and tells you not to tell anyone. Sometimes they might give you little things to make sure you don't tell. That's another bad secret to keep. That's mean and controlling. Kevin said it definitely fell into the bad secret category. I felt this was something an adult should help with. Because as a child, when someone hurts you, you can feel really alone and afraid. And the best people to help you are the ones you love and really, really trust. I asked him if there was any adult that he trusted. So we worked up a little plan for Kevin to talk to one of them. A while after that, I could see my friend was doing much better. Now we tell all our pals about good secrets and bad secrets so that we can all feel brave, safe, and strong. Break the silence. Child abuse is one secret you should never keep.
I am your mother, aunt, grandmother, guardian, friend, and I promise to protect you in all situations because someone has hurt you, violated you, harmed you, abused you, and you were brave enough to tell me. You trusted me. You came to me for help, to defend, for support, to protect you. No amount of money or bribes, favors, or gifts will stop me. You are most important to me. You are worth more to me than any material thing. I will do all in my power, in my heart, to make sure that you are taken care of and that justice is served and you thrive. Together, my daughter, my son, my child, we will live and love. I will protect you.
Break the silence. Report all cases of child sexual abuse.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. To the point, we're talking about runaway children today here on To The Point. With me representing the Child Protection Authority. We have Mr. Adrian Horford with us this morning. And from the Special Victim Unit, we have Detective Constable, of course, Damien Frank with us also this morning. And I did invite all listeners and viewers to call in. We do have our first caller. Let's take that before we entertain that. The question I wanted to ask pertaining to the role of the laws that governs, when individuals, harboring, youngsters who may have child run away and so forth, what's the consequences for that individual could bear. So let's take this first caller, then we entertain that. Caller, good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning, GT, and good morning to two esteemed guests. One of the guests mentioned one of the things I was going to make, the society, the complicity of the society, of the lack of responsibility on the part of the society. Of course, we are socialized to behave in a certain way. I think since 1983-84, we've been socialized to be consumers rather than citizens. We've been socialized to be competitors rather than cooperators or collaborators. So we had to situate the situation back then because, that was not a problem, certainly during the Gary regime, even though there was a major problem and also the revolution. So we have to ask ourselves some fundamental questions. How did we get there and why? Some of the things that the officer said, for instance, I ran away at about age 12 when there was threat of licks. And the thing about it, I got more licks. So when I went for perceived abuse, and I was abused even more. Not just by the parent, but by the society who kidnapped me and brought me because it was an entertainment for them. Anyway, so I understand. We have to really have a holistic approach to this thing. And unfortunately, we take a piecemeal and a reactive thing. Because to me, I would ask the officer then, do we, or the child protection person, can we perceive that as a major challenge for our society when almost every other day we're hearing about somebody run away? Whereas, and then could we ask ourselves the question, is it because we are missing, as already been indicated, the strong family breakdown in the community? There are no social groups like clubs and all the stuff that used to be there to help people to really socialize. And then also the role of the social media and so on that affecting, not just social media, but the media in general, where they are doing more the parenting for nowadays and even the parents. I can go on and on, but thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Anyone want to respond to the caller? I did made some pertinent points there. If anyone want to chime in on any of what he mentioned.
Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, caller. And the caller is right. We tend to be going away from what we knew before in terms of how we deal with issues, and society has changed, especially from when he knew it to what it is presently. And in terms of having groups and so forth that your child can join, I often tell persons or clients where we have discussion with parents and guardians that, look, get your children involved in clubs at their schools or so forth, Rangers, 4-H, we have Cadet Corps, Scouts and so forth, and the Police Boys Club, and those kind of things would help. It would have a bridge between from what that child is going through and what is happening in society, to help them have some values or morals that may not be impacted at home, but they can learn something along the way growing up, and it will keep them in check, because they're having their friends, but they're doing things together that are positive and that are safe. Right. So I think along those lines, the caller is right, and it takes a lot to get these things done, but it's a holistic approach.
I always say something that will just alleviate the negative distractions.
Of course, yes. There you go.
All right. Anything else on that, Damien?
Let me just tie in with what you were asking with society and harboring, right? So somebody might say harboring. What is harboring?
Yeah.
Now, harboring is just simple as it is. Having information that that child is at a specific place, or you yourself is holding that child for whatever interest. You may think that because you're the aunt, or because you're a cousin and the child come and make a complaint to you, I'm not sending you back home because how daddy or mommy could do that, and I'm going to keep you here for some time. And just knowing that that child is being reported as missing, and just having that child is saying nothing, you're deemed to get yourself in trouble.
All right.
Right? So you could be arrested and charged for the offense of harboring. And then again, some persons in public, we may have teachers, we have police officers, we have prison officers, we have our dear good friend here, GT, your home. And you may be on the beach, you may be in the community, you might just be chilling in your veranda, and you see a child in her uniform, in his uniform. Sometimes they may not even be in uniform, because nowadays they're smart, they're walking with change of clothes. You understand? And you see that you find that child is not living around the community. But you see something strange, some kind of strange activity. You know that there is a young man there living in the house, his mother and his father gone to work, and he might just be home alone. And you refuse to report that matter to the police, or just call and say, I find something strange about this, look into it. Now, once an investigation is launched and an offense has been committed, you can be charged for aiding and abetting whatever crime it was.
By just not making an intervention?
By just not making a report to the police as to your observation.
All right. That's interesting. That's utterly interesting.
So
in other ways, I shouldn't be minding my business to a point. You say
society there has to play the role of bringing of these children, GT, because we're seeing a lot of times that these gadgets, social media, we see that they are already having our young people distracted. You understand? Your role and responsibility is to help the upbringing of that child and to ensure that they stay on the right path.
I say that to say this because someone will say, well, I've noticed this youngster and this girl is visiting from time to time. They're probably my neighbor. You understand? But I will say, well, maybe it's not my business.
And that's where a lot of us, we feel our young people at times. You understand? Because you see it as it's not your business. You understand? But at the ending of the day, it is your business, because you can just prevent a crime from happening, and it may be a serious crime too. What about if that young lady, for example, let me put it like this, she is dating a young man, or she is dating an adult, right? And that she get to the adult's house, and that adult is now grooming her way before she come to his house to get engaged in sexual activities. She get to his house for sexual activities. Now you seeing she went there, you find that is strange, but I'm minding my business. That is not my business. I doesn't talk to Cassandra. You understand? So you fail to report or say anything to a neighbor or anybody, and then she get to the adult's house, she might realize, what, boy, I don't really want to get into this. I thought I was just coming home and chill. And then you might find she's a victim of rape or even murder. Because he thinks that, all right, I have the dominance over her now because she's at my place and she's resisting, and he might rape her, he might struggle her. Sometimes one blow, we human, easy to pass out. One blow and we gone. You understand? And then now you have a guilty conscience to live with.
I should have said something. Anything you want to chime in on that, Adrian?
I often say at times in society where the public need to be fast. I like to put it, don't put it in layman terms, they need to be fast. And that's one of the instances. You see, as you say, strange children in the community, they're not from the community. Where they start coming around, they go into the neighbor house, they congregating in places they shouldn't be congregating. At times they should not be congregating. The good thing about it is you can report that anonymously.
Good.
Yeah, you don't have to call the Child Protection Authority or the police and say, this is John Charles or this is Glen Telesford calling from River Road saying X, Y, and Z. The information is what is important. The children are X place, Y place, where we could find them, what school they're going to. Whatever information we can get, as you can see, it might prevent a crime or crimes from being committed, or just with children being delinquent. Because you have some children, they ain't going to do anything nefarious, They might be just going home by their friend and play game, but they're supposed to be in school at that point in time, or they're supposed to be at home at that point in time, and their parents don't know where they are. Sometimes things start off innocently, and it end up into something more dangerous. or
Because sometimes you see these postings that after it gets to the point where it now have to be reported or get to the public domain in terms of information, and then you see folks get under the social media and they start saying the negative stuff about the children, which because they didn't see them doing these things before. You understand? And they say, well, she run away, I know what she's be going and do, or he run away, I know what she's be going and do. Let's take a caller before we continue. Caller, good morning, you're welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jay, and good morning to your guests. You asked the question earlier on, why do children run away, whether boys or girls? And the officer said in a really nice way, but I think you should explain a little bit more because from my experience, dealing with boys that leave their parents' house, boys like to be in parks. They like to be around friends. They like to be their little partner some way, their little house where you can chill. They want to go there and chill, maybe smoke, drink, run girls, have their own way, basically. It could be abused, but I find boys more want to chill around boys. They want to be in parks, in groups. What are the girls now? They're more looking for sex. And then they can be abused by that. I don't know if because of the cell phone, or what they're into, or something. But something is driving them to leave their parents' house to go to boys' house or men's house and tend to get abused because that guy, you leave your parents' house, calling all his friends. So it's something spiritual. I think it's deeper than just running away. Because you must, when they run away, they don't really enjoy running away. It's not nice. But they still do. So I think it's a spiritual thing. I think we need to bring them by some pastor to pray for them to get them back on track because sometimes the parents can't help it because it's spiritual. It's not something normal. So I think it's more to do with spiritual, sexual spirit that is into, I think. You need to bring them by pastor and get them prayed for and wash it with that spirit. That's what I say, brother.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Anyone respond to the calling things that what he mentioned?
Well, yes. Let me put it like this. There are various, as I said, the microcosm that happens in society have various linkages, and some people who are spiritually based firmly believe that as one entity would have said to me, a faith-based entity would have said to me in discussions, they believe that Grenada has a sex demon that is roaming around the island. Now, as I tell persons, whether that is the case or not, based on what they believe, what can they do to have a positive outcome on that? So whether they want to do it through prayers or through community meetings or so forth, where CPA can come in that is to providing that education, that facilitation with that faith-based entity, where that community entity that can help stop those kind of issues from taking place. Right. So I can speak of that spiritual side of it to say, okay, well, this is what is happening and this is what needs to be done. I think maybe at some point in time we can bring in some pastors or spiritual leaders here to have those kind of discussions with them in terms of how they feel what is happening in Grenada and what they can do to solve it. But in terms of what we as child protection, what the police can do under the remits of the law that we are guided by, is to provide that support, to provide that education to those that need it and those that would accept it as much as possible.
We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Hi, pleasant good morning. I hope my comment is going to add some positivity to this program. Now, a lot of times when our children are toddlers and so, we look at some of the wrong things they do as being cute. So when they grow up, or they reach teenagers as such, they think, it is cute still. That's when we try to correct them, or even in the just before preen days. But parents need to have a rapport with their children. I told my children, I am your peer pressure. Not only that, you must feel safe to come home and you can talk about anything that bothers you, anything that amuses you. Feel free. Let our children know that our homes are their havens, their safe havens. We should also note that we are our children's first impressions, even when they are in the womb. We are their first impressions. And what we teach a child, generally, some go astray, yes, we have their spiritual forces about. But our main concern should be to bring our children up in a way that they can be good examples. Right? They follow the right people and they also lead. Now, if there are times when you have to follow, but there are times when you have to lead too. And if you don't want to follow somebody who's a bad leader, then you have to be a good leader. And I think it's a general thing that we have to teach our children the right thing. And may I not forget, pray for them too. Have a good day.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Amen to that.
Before we move on, I want to talk a wee bit about stats. In Grenada, what's the stats like? Is there more runaways from male or the female in Grenada?
From CPA standpoint?
CPA standpoint, the police standpoint?
Well, generally we have more females absconding from their house without permission.
Yeah.
As you say, runaway. Or they're missing. And that's for various reasons. While both male and female are emotional creatures, statistics will show that women or females outwardly express their emotions a bit more.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes that is caused by society as well. You know, if a little boy crying, he might say, "What's your mouth? You shouldn't be crying. You're a boy. Should be a big man. Stop crying." But they would allow the girl to cry and share her emotions outwardly towards anybody who would want to see or do anything about it. So we find a lot of more females running away. And sometimes it's because of what they're running to or what they're running from.
Okay.
You know, and that is what is important. So yes, we have more females in terms of statistics that run away than boys.
All right.
Same on our end. More females than male.
Okay, let's take another caller. We lost that caller there. 435-2041. Don't forget you also have the option of calling us via the WhatsApp. Same number, 435-2041. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen. And how are you all today?
Not too bad.
Yeah, well, good. I grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, so I have some experience of that as a kid. I could tell you, young boy, I wish right now I did take more licks from my parents and them, because these things that guide me. Because when you're going wayward or what, they do that. And then, as I say, the village, when you do something, someone in the street could correct you, but not now, because the parents are against that, right? And when you look at it naturally, the thing is pressure. But if you have any serious wound and you have to think what they have to apply pressure to keep the thing safe until you get the further cure, right? Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, in all incident where you get a serious cut, a serious puncture, they tell you apply more pressure. These children is like us in the 60s and 50s. Pressure they need more pressure. Controlling the same sexual concern. We can do a lot, but this TV and phone, with concerning the pornos and all these things. These children following a lot of these things. That is the sexual demand that's here in this country. And I wish I could have seen that when I was in the 50s and 60s. If I knew all these things that are shown on TV now, I'd reap a harvest with girls. Because in those days, we afraid girl. All you're saying is your girlfriend and you're not telling them nothing. You just walk in the road, smiling, helping bring the wood, help them joke the water. Nothing happening. You're only saying is your girlfriend. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. And interesting contribution there.
Yes, very interesting, and at the same time, very important points.
True. Yeah.
Very important points, because sometimes I ask myself, and it comes back to society again. Growing up, I'm a young guy, but at the end of the day, I could imagine how it was in you guys' days. But growing up, there are certain songs that will not play on the radio, and there are some songs that is being sang by our soca artists, and we know exactly the meaning of it. And yet, for all you hear that song playing in the public, in a different person's vehicle on a radio station, and you ask yourself, where are we the ones that really failing our children? But very good point by the caller. Very, very good point.
All right. We're a bit strapped for time, but we probably take one more call and then we get some closing comments. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
We'll probably take one more call and then we get some closing comments.
Yeah, good morning.
Caller, you may have to turn off whatever device you have in the background, please.
Pardon?
Please turn down the device in the background before you continue. We're a bit strapped for time, so do that quickly.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Right. Yeah, right. I look put down my little 2 pence because, as the gentleman said, I'm a child of the 50s. The children now, you have no control of them as a grandmother. They don't listen. The first thing, soon as they reach 15 years, they want to be a big man. And you see that dress code, with the pants below the bottom, it is getting out of hand. And with the sex demon, soon as they reach 15 years, they feel as a big man, they think about sex. And I'm appealing to big people, stand up for your respect in the street, both women and men. Now, a little boy may want to call you out in your name, if you may say miss. Some of them say me, don't call me miss. Don't call me miss. I don't hold your mother back. No, they want to be accepted along with the little children. So no respect. Even sometimes teachers too. I remember teachers just to look up for the respect in the class to say morning sir. But sometimes you see people, I mean, everybody is one. They by the rum shop, the pupil giving them a drink and they're taking it, no standing up. Stand up for what you come to as a teacher. You stand up in the middle of the class and you demand your respect. Even though you're told to lash on the child, you sit down, you don't want to come back.
Caller, I want to ask you to take another 10 seconds and wrap, please. We need to wrap the program up.
Thanks for giving that little call. So we need to do better. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, we got to that time in the morning where we have to take a wrap for today's program. Closing comments, any final outro you want to make before we take a wrap for today?
Yes. There's a caller that called and spoke about spirituality, and I want to side with him on that, because that can be a case where you have issues of your teen just keep on running away. Then we had a caller again that spoke about communication, and we've been hearing it for the entire program. Have that communication, that bond with your child. But just to add with that caller, and I want to go back to scriptures here. The scripture said in Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6, train up a child in the way of the Lord, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, communication. My personal intake on that is, yes, have a good rapport with your child, but we need to know where to draw the line. Many times I see parents having conversation with their children or conducting different activities with their children, and I want to know who is the parent, and they're laughing, thinking it's something funny. You have to be your child's best friend, yes, but at the same time you must let them know, I'm your mother, I'm your father, I'm not just your friend. You can do this, you can do that, but you know where to draw the line. Children, in the book of Ephesians chapter 6 verse 1 and 3, it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, because you belong to the Lord, and for this is right. This is the right thing to do. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. This is the first commandment with a promise that if you honor your mother and father, things for you will go well in life, Mr. Horford.
Amen.
All right.
Well, and you will have long life on earth.
All right.
At the ending of the day, just remember, we are the Special Victims Unit. We deal with all matters of sexual offenses, domestic violence, and child abuse. Our landline numbers are 440-4739. Our hotline number is 400. I normally put it this way to remember it easy. If you want to be a hero, all you gotta do is call 400. Thank you for having me.
Closing comments from you, Mr. Horford?
Yes, I just want to say to the listening public and the viewing public, it's important to always remember the next generation to come. And we have to remember, we have to protect them sometimes even from themselves. Yeah. Right? And reporting is important. The Child Protection Adoption Act, Section 27, speaks about mandatory reporting. and he speaks about from nurses, doctors, teachers, anybody who has any interaction with children, they have a duty to report. And as I said, you can do it anonymously. You can call the police. You can call Child Protection line at 435-0293 or 533-6990. You don't have to give your name, your address, or anything about yourself. The important thing that we need is where you can find that child who is in need or who is in danger. And please remember, you are your brother's keeper. And like it or not, that generation to come is who's going to be around. So we have to mold them in such a way that they can be positive contributors to our society.
All right.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here this morning. I think the information we spoke about this morning, I certainly hope it got into the individuals that need to hear it, especially the youngsters. I know lots of them may need to review this program and listen and understand it. There may be a youngster now who will be looking at, probably contemplating the idea of wanting to run it for various reasons that we stated this morning. And this program may have given them a different perspective of what they intend to do. And for parents out there also, what we said here this morning could contribute to you being a better parent to your sons and daughters. You understand? So once again, thanks a whole lot. Those of you who contributed to the program, let me thank you also. And thanks for being part of To The Point. That's what we say goodbye for today's program. Have a good one, folks. Goodbye.